Hi, good morning, Rich.
Good morning, Sandy.
How you doing?
Oh, couldn't be better.
That's me too.
Any better than this? I couldn't stand it.
I know. Oh my goodness. Anyway, well, what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, probably the same old,
Plan.
the same old eternal thing, I guess.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I thought what we might do is just play off of that a little bit more detail on that three-part tune of the childlike awareness that we're born with, and then the adult, which serves as the contrast and actually the actualizing mechanism that allows that divine awareness, that childlike awareness, to be focused and taken to a higher level when there's a balance. And we're looking for the balance between the pure awareness of being that the child has, but he doesn't know that, and he needs the adult self-reflective consciousness to know it. But that seems to run amok when it's not balanced with the original perspective of the child. And when they become into perfect balance, you get that. It's the equal sign between the equation that Bill's always talking about.
Oh, well, that's an interesting way to say it, but yes, that's exactly what it is. It's that we are born with that perfect state of awareness as a child. And if you go back and actually kind of try to remember being a little kid, you can kind of get the feeling of what it was like to just be that presence of awareness. And that as a little kid, it is true, we are a part of everything. We don't separate, and yet, see, here's the beauty of this, and this is where I get dismayed, let's say, by the lingo of non-duality, is that when you are this child, in this childlike state of awareness, you're still perfectly here. There's nothing about getting rid of anything or not being fully aware of you being here, and not feeling. We feel you're part of everything, and yet it's not all one big homogenized soup. You're not defining, oh, that's over there and I'm over here. It's just a beautiful, simple state of living. And, there is a journey back to simplicity, and all the complexities that the non-dual, and I don't mean it in the sense of that non-duality isn't true. Of course there's only one. Yes, that's the basis and the foundation of everything. It is one. But the language, the rhetoric of the non-dual instructions or teachings, or people get so hung up on the idea, the concepts, what they envision it to be, what they try to figure out what is awareness. And awareness is just simply being alive, being here. We are all this awareness. It is the presence of life. It isn't some mystical thing that you have to have or that you can even avoid. People say, for a moment as I was meditating, I was just right with the now. I was right with the awareness. It's so vast and ever present that you can't not be awareness. You are that, and it isn't a mystical thing. It's simply life, and it's the beauty of just being. And that's like going back to this vision of what you were like as a little boy, like a little girl, and how the world felt. And it's so, it's an all-pervasive, you just are. know who mommy is, you know what a chair is, you know what things are. And you know, in non-duality, I even hear people say, oh, you should just look at things without labeling it, you know, and I'm just going, oh, that's so unnecessary. Why would you do that? We're given by the grace of God to know the names of things, to know that's a couch, and that's a chair, and that's a cat, and that's not a problem. I mean, there's not a problem anywhere. But for some reason, it seems as we grow into this adult conceptual thinking mind and start pulling everything apart into complexities and anguish and complications of who's what and what's this and this angst, this existential angst, you know, is like, I mean, it is part of the journey, and it is where we have to go, just like you said, in order to understand the sweetness and beauty of this childlike state of being. You have to have a comparison. You have to be able to say, oh, yes. When you start coming back to it, then you can go, oh, wow. It isn't that conditioned thinking at all. It is the sweetness of the child. And I can't think of a better way to call it than the child. When I try to come up with another word for it, the child seems to do it because there's an innocence and a purity. And you know, often I've thought, when you're first born into the world, you've just come from sitting at the right hand of God. I mean, visually, I see a little child sitting at the hem of God, right there holding God's hand. And yes, this is a simple description, but it's real and it's true how the feeling of it is, how the presence of it is. And there you are with God right up close, right next to, and everything is beautiful and sweet, and you're romping through the meadow, and life is good, and then you get born into the world, and you know, we bring that presence with us into the world. We're so close to God at that point. We are right next to that, and we come into the world, and we are that shining light of God at that moment. And I even remember when I had my children, that whole room would fill with that light of that presence of God. They brought it with them. They brought it through the veil. You could see it. You could feel it. And that's where you're living as the child. There's no question, is there a God or is there not a God, or is there... the questions are all gone. The simple beauty just is your heart, and it turns into such a love for the world, because you know that the world is a reflection of that light that you came from. You know what this world is made of. You know the sacred beauty of everything, and not in the sacred sense of, if something gets destroyed, you've destroyed God in any sense. It's that the things come and go, and we know that, but the beauty is that the presence never goes. The presence is always here. The presence is everything, and it's all that you are. And then we live in that. So, yes, you're telling it right. And then this third place, it's like coming back to that child. We come back to it again. It is a return, and it definitely has to be returned to it, because we don't have it in the first place. When we first get here, we don't have the completeness of this three. I keep going back to this Holy Trinity. It takes the third step, which is the reclaiming and re-knowing and rediscovery, having been the adult, having been in the conceptual world, now you can grasp it, you can hold it. And that's the other thing that is difficult for me to try to no, it's the part I want to try to explain to those who are traveling the journey of non-duality, is that yes, you can know. You are supposed to know you know. This is the beauty of it. This is God's gift to you, to know you know. The power of knowing you know, that's where the beauty starts to expand. That's when you get to really live it. Because as a child, you just know it. You just are it. You're just being it. But you don't know you know what you are. The third step is knowing it. And that's when we become that presence of God in the world, or that child of God in the world, that one who can express and live his individual, unique gifts in the world and bring those gifts to the world and share them in a way that is that you know what you have to give, you know what you have to offer. There's a confidence, there's a strength, there's a groundedness, there's a power, there's an authority. There's an authority. You become an authority. And that's the beauty, because you see, we keep giving our authority away to governments and officials and you know, a God up there in the sky, or whatever we consider some authority. But the authority is here as who we are, as this child of this living, infinite, profound, deep intelligence and knowing, and we are that, and we get to live that. And the joy is knowing we know. I mean, that's so delightful to know you know. Think of when you were a little kid and you got your multiplications finally right. You knew it. The joy was wonderful. You're skipping around going, yes, I got it. Of course we're supposed to know. And so these are the things I want to share or help to break through with those who've gone on the journey into the absoluteness and think they have to end up in some sort of big emptiness of not knowing anything and not being able to call things by their right name and not being able to name things. And, you know, the more names we have, the more beautiful, you know, in many ways. One of the gifts that Bill gave me was that he named everything. He named his first typewriter was like Rabbi Moses, and his car was Nellie, I believe. And, you know, and when he came to visit me, he named all the stuffed animals. And it was such a lovely childlike quality. And you know how little kids put their teddy bears on the bed and they kiss them goodnight, and they know everybody's got a name. Their dog is Rufus and the teddy bear is, you know, I mean, it's so tender and so caring, and things have names, things have spirit. The child knows this. The child knows what love is. And yes, it's very tender, and yes, it's very sensitive and vulnerable and tender, and yes, we cry tears, and yes, we hurt. But that's the beauty of this. That's the wonder of it, and that's the child, and that's what I'm going to share when it's my turn to share, which apparently it is.